running into you. Howdy.
Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Cozy Reads. I hope you've all been keeping well. Thank you for joining me again for another story. In today's story, we'll carry on with the tale of Regalion. As the clash of warriors come to an end, Max and Bree reflect on their fights and on their current situation. The fights they faced were intense, but now that the dust has settled, they still have Hector to deal with. Let's see how our heroes navigate this Godforsaken. Did you feel that? Butrid said to Max. Yeah, it's Celeste. She's back, and she's knocked out, either from overexhaustion or she was taken out. Either way, it can't be good for Bree. We should hurry, Butrid added. Max nodded and started moving faster, back out to where they had first witnessed the battle between the Godforsaken and the Reaper. Max was running through the trees to the clearing when he saw Hector on the floor, unconscious. He quickly looked over and saw Bree passed out from the fight. He ran over and lifted her head slowly. Bree, he called. Bree, can you hear me? I can hear you, no need to shout. I was just taking a nap, Bree responded. And by the way, you took your time, she added. Max laughed as Bree slowly set herself up. Yeah, I guess I did. That Reaper was something else. He was tough. I had to pull out all the stops to defeat him, Max responded. Yeah, our opponent here was no cakewalk either. I tried to reason with him, but that just got me a shot of powerful compressed air to the face. Luckily Celeste was... Bree stopped herself, before jumping up and onto her feet. She quickly regretted this, as her knees buckled, causing her to immediately fall. Calm down, you just fought a Godforsaken. Your body's going to need time to recuperate, Max added while catching Bree before she fell. That can wait. Where is Celeste? She disappeared after the fight, Bree said, looking around. She came back. She's fine and resting, Max responded. Bree's face then changed from worry to relief to pain, as her whole body started to ache. Hey, what are we going to do with him? Bree said through gritted teeth. We'll have to wake him up and try to convince him to join us, Max responded. Wake him up? What? Why? You didn't see his monstrous strength. Me and Celeste barely beat him. If he gets up swinging, then we're all going to be done for, Bree contested. That's why we tie him up. We keep him from getting away. I'm sure he's much too tired to fight any of us, let alone break free from bondage, Max responded. Max then pulled out some rope from his bag. You still have that? I thought you'd have lost it by now, Bree asked while motioning to Max's bag. Yeah, I hid my bag somewhere safe before I fought that Reaper. I knew that I would need it after the fight, Max answered. Talk about cocky. It's like you knew you were going to win, Bree chuckled. Max smiled and poured out some first aid equipment. Now, I'm no doctor, but I can administer first aid. At least for now, it should keep you from bleeding out, Max said while getting the equipment ready. Bree watched Max administer the first aid. Her body was filled with cuts and bruises, but the first aid helped to alleviate some of the damage. Her body also healed up a bit itself. She was always good at recovering from almost anything, and her pain threshold was high, so she wasn't too worried. Max even helped Bree to wrap a bandage around her chest, covering the parts of her that became exposed due to her clothes being torn, which Bree appreciated. So this is going to sound weird, but I took more damage than this. I'm not too sure how my body has fixed itself so quickly, but it's always been able to do this. I've recovered from broken bones in a week because of it, Bree said while checking herself over. Well, I don't have an explanation for that, other than the amulet maybe. Either way, recovering quickly is a pretty cool skill. After patching up Bree, Max then walked over to Hector on the floor. It was interesting looking at a Godforsaken slumped over. A being with such tremendous power brought down by someone new to this world. Even with Celeste's help, taking down a Godforsaken was still an amazing feat. From being a regular old uni student to now being face to face with a Godforsaken, and not only taking on but defeating a high ranking Reaper. While he was confident in his ability, it was still a daunting task. but it was one that he was grateful that he won. Once he reached Hector, he proceeded to tie up his arms as Bree walked over. It was too difficult to tie up his hands alone, so Max had to tie Hector's arms to his body, almost like a straitjacket. Bree walked over and chuckled at how Hector looks now, when he's not a violent, monstrous beast who resembles a placid and cuddly bear. A placid and cuddly bear that will probably rip your head off at the first opportunity. Anyway, I guess we gotta wake him up, Bree said. Alright, wake up, she shouted in Hector's face. However, he didn't even flinch, let alone wake up. What the? Wake up, she shouted while shaking him by the shoulders. Still nothing. That probably won't work. He seems completely knocked out, but I have an idea. Butrid, do your thing, Max said, lifting Butrid's lantern. With pleasure, Butrid replied in a dastardly tone. He then flew out of his lantern and into Hector's head. Hector then started shaking, first slow little twitches here and there, and then more violent shakes. Bree looked on in bewilderment. Are you sure this is a good idea? She looked at Max. Yeah, he'll be fine. Butrid's only waking him up from the inside. I trust him enough to not try and take over Hector's body, Max replied while still looking at Hector. But how can you trust him? He's a daemon. They don't have the best track record of being trustworthy, especially when it comes to not trying to take people over, Bree responded. Yeah, but there's more to Butrid than being a daemon. He has his reasons for doing what he does. Don't worry, he won't betray us, Max replied. And as he said this, Butrid came flying out of Hector and back into his lantern. It's done, he said as he got comfortable in his lantern. Just then Hector's eyes fluttered before he slowly woke up. He slowly got himself up before Bree pulled out her sword and held the edge to his throat. Hector just looked up at her and smirked, before slumping into a relaxed sitting position. No need to worry, pretty little thing. I know when I'm beaten. There's no point in me trying anything as you guys will just knock me back on my ass before I even had the chance to attack, Hector said, while grabbing the tattered remains of his cloak and pulling it over himself. He couldn't put it over his back, but at least he could cover his legs. Bree noticed that, much like her, Hector's wounds were slowly starting to heal. She again thought that was weird, and as if reading her mind, Max explained. When it comes to Godforsaken, their bodies can heal itself quickly, provided they enter a sort of sleep state, like deep meditation. Ah, so that is why I was unable to wake him up, Bree replied. Max nodded and turned his attention back to the force of nature in front of them. Bree also looked over at him, making sure that he heard what she said next. For starters, you better watch that mouth of yours, because if you call me pretty little thing again, or anything of the sort, then I'll not hesitate to cut your tongue out. She glared at him, keeping her sword pointed at him for a little longer before finally seizing it. Damn, remind me to never get on her bad side, Butrid chimed in. Alright, before we start tearing each other's heads off, let's just talk for a minute. Hector, we're not here to hurt you. Okay, bad choice of words, Max started. Yeah, you think? Hector remarked while rubbing the cuts on his legs. He then looked up to Bree, and before he could say anything, she added, Yeah, and I'll do it again, you psycho. I mean, seriously, I get your whole not trusting attitude, but you properly went in to kill. Hector shrugged. Whatever, it's a dog-eat-dog world. You either kill or be killed. It's that simple. He replied while staring directly at Bree when he said those last few words. His face had changed. His demeanor was far more serious, with his eyes burning with a deathly fire. Bree felt a cold chill run down her spine when she looked into his eyes. They were the eyes of someone who had died a long time ago, of someone who had experienced pure pain and hardship. And yet, she could see the fires of a caged animal, a look that seemed to burn as bright as the deepest and darkest pits of hell. That's what sent a chill down her spine, the look of a cold and dead person, accompanied by the fiery burning of a caged animal that would attack at a moment's notice. These conflicting personas made for a very conflicting and unpredictable person. Max noticed this and decided that they should speed things along. He jumped in before Bree could speak. Hector, like I said, we truly don't mean to hurt you. We're here seeking your help. There's a reason why the Reapers came after you. It wasn't by chance that they were here. We don't know what their true intentions are, but we know that they need the Godforsaken. I'll be straight with you. We predict that there'll be a war coming. We don't know why, but we believe that it's because of the increase in Daemon. The Reapers seem to be getting desperate, Max explained to Hector. And that's why you need the Godforsaken, to fight against the increase in Daemon and against the Reapers. Fine. To be fair, I've noticed it too. I was waiting for the Reapers to come after me. While it's true that we Godforsaken are usually loners, and even though we don't communicate with each other, we do have our ways of gaining information. It's part of that whole us against the world mentality. So yeah, I guess the Reapers will be coming after me, but I'm not someone who runs or hides. I stand and fight. So yeah, if you guys wanted me dead, you probably would have killed me by now. So I guess I can trust you guys better than the Reapers at least, Hector explained. He looked down and closed his eyes, seemingly in deep thought. He remained like this for a bit before finally nodding his head and opening his eyes, saying, I'll help you guys out. I mean, it's either that or get hunted by Reapers constantly. At least with you guys, I hopefully won't be fighting alone. Anyway, what's the plan, boss man? Hector said, while slowly pushing himself up against a tree. He winced when he got to his feet, but he was able to stand and walk. Well, alright, I'll tell you our overall plan while we make our way to the next destination. We're going to be meeting up with an old friend of mine, and hopefully gain the assistance of another Godforsaken, Max said while picking up the remainder of his equipment. He then proceeded to pack it all into his bag, getting ready to move out. Well, alright, I guess we're going, Bree said before turning to Hector and adding, and you, don't try anything funny or I swear. Yeah, I know, Hector added, rustling in his bindings. Good, Bree finished. Well, alright, then we should get going. This place could be swarming with Reapers soon. If those Reapers do not report back to headquarters with a job well done, then headquarters will send reinforcements to capture the Godforsaken, Max said. Fine, but what about me being tied up? Can I now be released? Hector asked. Sadly, not yet. While we might be working together, we still need to make sure that you don't try and run away or stab us in the back. At least let's move out of this forest and then we can sort everything out, Max answered. Hector seemed a bit annoyed, but he understood why they were being so cautious. The group then started leaving as Zazel, the willpower and determination, forced himself up, and with a look of death in his eyes, stated, I will kill you. And that brings chapter 19 of this story to an end. Hope you've all been enjoying this series. As our heroes add a powerful ally to the group, their confidence has been uplifted, and their goals do not seem so far away. Our heroes now take the break they deserve, as they seek out medical attention, and Max gets to meet an old friend. So stay tuned to see where their adventures take them next. But until then, I hope you've all sufficiently warmed up, and that this story has brought you some level of comfort. I wish you safe travels on the journey of life, and feel free to come back again, whenever you need a new story, to warm your day.